All right, so welcome guys to our personal finance rant again, and today we're going to cover spending and savings. Okay, so which are two, I'm sure, very important things and very on the forefront of a lot of people's minds right now, given what's going on out there. And so I'm joined by Emmanuel. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Good, very well.
Enjoying the weather. The sun's shining here today, which has been happening the last couple of days. So
Really?
things are really nice, beautiful and bright. So things change when the sun's out.
Well, of course, I'm in Singapore, so and right now I just realised I haven't turned the air conditioning on enough, so I'm going to start sweating halfway through this, but that's all right. But yeah, but no, we're actually first day of official lockdown in Singapore. So school's finished this afternoon, and so now it's all locked down for a couple of weeks, and we'll see. They have always been very progressive here, so we're not expecting it. So they've said a month, but it could well be less than that. We'll see what happens anyway. But yeah, no, good. But anyway, let's get on to what we're focusing on, which really, we titled it Effortlessly Cut Your Spending. And I think, for a lot of people, that's what they're thinking about right now. So I think it's very timely. And I think to add to that, effortlessly cut your spending without having to forego a massive amount of lifestyle. Because I think the problem we have, a lot of us face, is that we think that cutting our spending requires massive drops in lifestyle. And I know, and I'm sure you're in the same boat, mate. We've been in situations where we haven't had money before. Now we're in a much better position. But, if we had to go back to that, we could do that. Now, obviously, the more money you make, the more, expenses you get. And I know I have 4 kids and run a massive household of, it seems like bloody, bills everywhere. But the reality is, if I had to, and I had to cut back, I could quite easily go through the process we're going to go through now and cut significant amounts off what we're spending. And I'm sure you'd agree with me on that, would you?
I would agree with you. And I've been in the fortunate or unfortunate position of going through a couple of economic downturns, especially 2007, 8, and 9. And I made a conscious choice then to make life simple, to simplify my life, to actually reduce my expenditure. So it's easy to go back to that default mode and be able to readjust. And, when money's there, you obviously spend more, as you say, but simplifying your life, and not what I talk about in my book quite a lot, is keeping up with the Joneses, is looking at all the different areas of how you can streamline things and make things much easier without really very much loss of quality of life. So yeah, I'm very much in that vein.
And it's funny, on some aspects, I would actually, as you strip back all of the complexities, life gets better actually, because you're not weighed down. And that's that, the whole minimalistic approach. And it's interesting, a couple of years ago, we were living in Singapore. We had a massive house. We had, a driver. We had all that sort of stuff. And I was looking at going, how can we be spending this much money each month? And I actually went through a process, even though we were still earning really good money. I went through a process of going, hold on, do we really need to be doing this? Do we really need to be doing that? And it was amazing how much I was able to cut off our expenses. And that money was then available to do other things, whether it be investment, buying houses, or whether it be whatever it was. So this is not something that's just for, oh, you're poor and you can't afford it. Actually, I find that people who have got good cash flow on that can do this, and actually the weight lifts off your shoulder.
Yeah, just reassessing where you are on a regular basis. And, the first sign of change is awareness. You start being aware of the things that you have, the things that you can do. And more importantly, if you treat this as a game and have fun, things become so much easier. Anything that you do that you turn into a game and you have fun becomes enjoyable. So all of these things are saying, how can I make this experience more fun? How much more fun can I have doing this? How much more money can I save? So saving money for me is fun. It's a game. I enjoy it, and it just keeps me motivated. What other areas can I find to help myself and other people save money?
And I think the other thing is too, if you're going to do this, it's far better to do it before you approach issues than after you're in the crapper, So if you can do it in the good times, actually, then when the bad times hit, because everybody has ups and downs, everybody has bad years, bad things happen to them where they've got to adjust their lifestyle, and so it's much better to do it earlier than later. And even now with coronavirus, hitting us, the government's been very supportive in what they're doing, but actually now is the time to be doing it, even if you haven't lost your job, even if you aren't furloughed, even if your income is still fine. You know, would you agree with that?
Yeah, very much so. It's about creating good habits. So once you create those good habits, it's easier to keep on those habits. So when you have a good habit, you do it consistently, and it doesn't become an effort, it becomes easy. So it's creating these habits ongoing. And some of the things we've talked today it's going to be, I find it a lot of fun, things that I can do to inspire and motivate people about doing things just slightly differently.
Yeah, and I think I find with this, oftentimes when we talk about cutting spending and that, a lot of it you can do online, and so therefore you're not even speaking to people. But I find the hardest bits when you want to cut spending is when you got to phone somebody up and you got to face a salesperson who has a sales pitch, who's used to, you know, giving you the reasons why you shouldn't downgrade your, you know, mobile plan, or why you shouldn't do what, you know, whatever it is. You know, they've got a sales script against you. And I think that's where, you know, having the confidence that actually, you know what, I need to get from here to here, and I don't care what this person's saying, but actually having the goals and setting, right, I want to carve 20% off my heating bill. You know, how can I do that? And by having specific goals, I mean, we talk about goals in everything. And I think this is one of the things, if you can sit down and work out where your finances are, you know, from what's the income, what's the money coming in, and what's the expenses going out. And then by working that out and working which of those are fixed and you perhaps can't, such as a mortgage, you know, in the short term I'm talking, because probably long term you can do something, you know, and even rent on your place if you're renting, or, you know, these sort of fixed ones versus the, you know, every time I walk past a cigarette shop, I buy a pack of fags, you know, that sort of stuff, which is the discretionary stuff. You know, I mean, discretionary stuff oftentimes is our comfort stuff, you know, and I think by having goals and setting goals, this just becomes part of the goal, and it becomes that game that we talk about, which is so important to, you know, see this good side.
I just want to pick up on something that you said, because I've had that experience on a couple of things this week that I've gone to make savings upon. And it's really important to understand the person at the other end of the phone is doing a job. It's their job to try and retain you and keep you. They're just doing a job. So one, it's important not to get angry with them or to get short with them. So part of my remit when I speak to them, first and foremost, is I thank them. I tell them, I know they're doing a hard job and I appreciate what they're doing and they're following the rules and regulations that have been advised by their employer. I said, however, there's lots of people struggling right now and I just need your help and your assistance to help me. And as soon as you do that, it changes, it flips. They go from wanting to sell you to actually understanding and appreciating, because they're in the same boat. They want to be saving money themselves. And when you put it on a personal level, things always change.
And I think the important key word there for me, and it's funny, I do virtually the same pitch, where it's almost like I get them on side, which is, you know, in NLP, we call it matching, you know, matching, mirroring. And effectively, then what you did was you changed by saying, however, you know, this is what I need to achieve. This, you know, I understand your situation, empathy, you know, I get that's your job and, you know, that's what your boss is, you know, saying. However, and that's where you can then introduce you. So if you build that rapport and then use that word, however, or, but the issue I have, or the challenge I'm facing, or there's some, you know, word, whatever that is, that switches to now you can give your, you know, your goal or your outcome that you want out of this.
But what's really remarkable from what I did, or what you do, is then the feedback that comes back from the salesperson is they say, thank you for appreciating and understanding. And because you're acknowledging what they're doing, and they are doing a job, they are doing a service, whether working from home or anywhere else, they're in a role, they're in a task, and just thanking and appreciating them makes them feel worthy, which is really important, and then it allows you to engage in a different way. So I can't, you know, it doesn't cost anything to have good manners and be respectful. It's amazing what you can get from not being rude and aggressive and just being communicative.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, it's interesting because I run a sales team, and so those guys, and you know, when I do my sales training and that, I say to them, they will spend 95% of their time getting rejected. Yeah. So every 100 calls they make, 95 of them are people either not answering, hanging up, you know, and a number of those will be abusive, you know. but it's the 5 which makes them their commission and which brings all of our business in. So actually it's about getting to those 5. And this is the thing is, if you're, it doesn't matter what you do as a salesperson, you're used to getting that rejection. So the moment somebody is nice to you, somebody appreciates you, understands your position, you're coming from a different thing. You're now part of their day, which is the positive part of their day, which of course they want to keep you on the phone then. They want to help you out. So you immediately become more attractive, So then when you need something done, such as a downgrade, which is out of the agreement or whatever it is, I mean, it's interesting. We talk about this because you were mentioning how you've been doing it this week. I've been doing a few things too. And so even today, one of my, we're not running AdWords right now. And one of our things is click fraud software. And I'm like, guys, I'm paying for this right now. I don't need to, it's useless to me. And so I said, what can you do? And basically what they come back with is, look, don't worry about it. What we're doing is for the next 3 months, we're not going to charge you anything. So I'm like, done, which I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting them to say, okay, well, what we'll do is this, or, maybe we'll knock you down to the lowest rung, which, and we're talking 75, I think it was £75 a month, $75 a month. I was expecting them to knock me down to the £25, maybe that's what they do. But no, they just said, no, don't worry about it. It's free.
I'll have to get you to maybe start negotiating for me, Brett.
Mate, I've seen you negotiate. But I think that's the interesting thing too, is what we're talking about here is negotiation. And a lot of times there is a terms and conditions. And if you're a prick and you approach them as a prick, then the natural reaction of that person is to come back with terms and conditions and go, here's the contract, read it. That's what it says. Whereas when you're nice about it, you get them on your side. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'd like to add to that is that life is a mirror. Just imagine how you speak to somebody is how they're going to speak back to you. Whatever you see in the mirror is how your day is going to be. You speak to somebody with respect, they'll give you the respect back. You're an annoying so-and-so, they're going to be exactly the same. Life is just a mirror. So if you want people to treat you nicely, treat people nicely. Yeah. If you want to be smiley and happy, you'll find people happy and smiley around you. So life is just a true reflection of who you are.
Yeah, and I think, it's really important because we can sit here and we can give you all the strategies, go onto a comparison website and compare your plan against another plan and, and all this sort of the tactical stuff. But if you don't get the strategic stuff, the big picture stuff, then you're only going to be half as effective. And then you'll sit there and go, well, this stuff doesn't work. These guys are full of crap. And it's like, no, actually, you missed the point. Actually, if you just did what we did, this and hang up the phone now or hang up the, stop the video now, then actually you're already halfway there. In fact, more than halfway there, and I think that's important. And again, the other side of it is having a positive expectation. One of the things I've always had is a positive expectation of whatever outcome it is. And that's part of you set the goal. That's what I'm going to get to. And and a lot of times I'm a bit pig-headed because I come from a telesales background. If I want to get something, I'm happy to stay on the phone for as long as I need to stay on the phone until the guy finally goes, you know what, this is just taking too much of my time. Just give it to him, And if I need to, I can go up to the manager and the manager's manager or whatever, But it doesn't mean I'm a prick about it. But, the reality is I can do that. And that's part of the negotiation. That's part of having the goal of what I want to achieve. Now, sometimes it doesn't mean you always get it, So, it doesn't mean that this is, the foolproof plan that will work 100% of the time. But you're aligning with human nature, and I think that's really important. So cool. So should we get into some of the tactical stuff, some of the spending stuff that we're going to talk about?
Yeah, I'd love to. I love this stuff. This is all about what I call about fun and doing things in a slightly different way to just save you money and stop you from going out. Actually, so the first one is about food and shopping. It's really what can you do to make things fun and also stop yourself from having to go to the shops on a regular basis. So the first thing is food prepping. So there's a few things that work really well. So let's talk about food and getting fuel into you. I'm a food lover. I love food. I eat a lot during the course of the day. So I want to find things that are very easy for me to do and to save money. So one of the things that is really cheap, that works out between 5 and 10 pence for breakfast, is porridge. And you can either have porridge that you prepare in the morning and have it nice and hot with a little bit of honey, or what you can do, which is called overnight porridge, is you put it in the fridge with a bit of yogurt, a bit of milk or whatever, keep it overnight. That is 10p. The whole family, if there's 4 of you, can eat for 40 or 50 pence for breakfast. The other thing that I like on a regular basis is eggs on toast. Again, really cheap kind of food, also very healthy. So look at your cupboards. Look what you actually have already in your cupboards before you start going out to buy stuff. The other thing is meal prepping. If you can prepare 5, 10, 15 meals in one go. So I'm doing this with my son at the moment. We're getting a whole load of food together. We're cooking together. We're having a lot of fun. He's doing his dishes with all of his ingredients. I'm doing my stuff with my ingredients. We're actually competing with each other, having fun at the same time. Who can cook the best food and at the cheapest cost? So this is a lot of fun. So that's the first thing at home. Use all the things that you have at home already, that been in the cupboards, all the tins that you've actually got at the back of the cupboard, at the bottom of the drawers. Get them all out, start cooking, start preparing, and you'll be amazed at what you can create with a few simple ingredients, a few different spices. So that's one of the things. The next part, as I've talked about this quite a lot, is shopping. When you go shopping, when you have a limited budget, the supermarkets are there. Now that we've got produce back in them, by the way, to make you spend as much money as possible. You know, they're raking it in right now. We're spending more money than ever now because we're not going out. We're spending more money on food. So the areas that you need to look at for when you're shopping are shop home brands, which are typically between 50 and 70% cheaper than an own brand. But when you're looking at the shelves, anything at eye level is prime real estate. That's where the supermarkets get the premium brands and you pay the most amount of money. Anything above eye level, now, unless you're Brett and you're 6'4", it doesn't quite work the same. But the average short ass like me that's around about 5'9", 5'10", anything at eye level, anything above that is going to be 20, 25% cheaper. And for those people that can actually bend down or look down, anything on the bottom 2 shelves in the supermarket typically is between 30 and 70% cheaper than anything at eye level. Now, those brands are normally supermarket brands. They're normally made by the same manufacturers that make the same thing for the supermarket under their own brand, but this way, the supermarket, you get a much cheaper brand. So there's a couple of wins that you can go to the supermarket very quickly, as well as looking at other supermarkets that are much cheaper. So while you're at home, there's nothing stopping you from doing some research for your most 10, 15, 20 items that you buy and see which supermarkets are going to be the most cost effective for those overall. You don't have to go to each supermarket, just go to the one that gives you the overall saving for the things that you buy most often. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Brett?
Yeah, so actually a couple of points that come in. So first of all, if you look at the design of a supermarket, okay, so I'm going back to my university years. I did a assignment on this, but the design, when you walk in, guaranteed every single time, there is going to be healthy food there, the vegetable section. Why is that there? Because they want you to feel good about yourself, yeah? So they want you to get something good in the trolley, so now you can buy all the crap, all right? And then that's when you're going to find the lolly aisle, you're going to find all this, the chips and all that sort of stuff. And, what at the point of sale, look at the point of sale, it's crap. And it's all high margin stuff. It's all stuff they make money out of. So be really careful about that. And one of the things, one of the pieces of advice is, always eat before you go shopping, so you're not hungry. Because one of the issues with all this, and this is where if you want to save a big amount of money, and, Emmanuel's already said it, is by meal planning. And if you meal plan or plan your week out or your month out or whatever it is, number one, you pay for the convenience. So if you're going to do Deliveroo every meal, you are paying a massive premium for the convenience. If you actually looked at how much it costs you and then took that $20 whatever or £20 meal and went to the supermarket, looked what you can get for £20, it's amazing how much you can save by doing that, by just cutting out the Deliveroos, and nothing against Deliveroo, but Food Pandas, whatever they are, Uber Eats, there's a massive savings there. So if you have to be convenient, if you're getting things on the go, so you're walking to work and you have sort out your lunch, not that anyone can walk to work right now, but the reality is, by planning and preparing this, you save a huge premium that you're giving away to multi-billion-dollar, most of the time American companies, in California, actually now is put back into your pocket. Yeah. So that's a big thing, the convenience. Don't eat hungry, and just understand the design is not designed for you to spend as little as possible. They want you to spend as much as possible when you go to the shop.
Yeah, listen, everything we're talking about makes common sense, but it's about creating the routines and the disciplines ongoing. And if you make this part of your habit, it doesn't feel like you're doing anything not normal. It's part of what you do normally, and that's how you make money. That's how you save money. For every pound that you save, you can invest. For every pound that you have, you can use it on things that are more important to you. So, when it comes to food, as I said, I love food, and making sure I get the right nutrition, very healthy food at very competitive prices. I'm all in for that. So it's important that you know where to shop and how to shop.
I mean, it's interesting. One of the other points, and I probably shouldn't be saying this because people will just pay out on me, but I had a discussion with Arlene, my wife, and so we were looking at milk in Singapore. And so the milk, I didn't like the milk. It was crap, the local milk. But anyway, there was the local milk is $3.50, say, give or take. The Australian import milk is like $5.50. All right. The organic, top of the range, blah, 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 is $17. So now this might sound a bit weird, but I said to Arlene, and she was like, there's no way I'm paying $17 for milk. And I was like, actually, you know what? I'm happy to pay that because for me, it meant a lot, but it was interesting. Now we just had a conversation the other day about that. And she was like, I'm not buying that milk anymore because and one of the issues we've got is that it goes off too quickly. I don't know whether it comes from America, and by the time it gets here, it's, so we've had a few that haven't worked. So she's like, I'm just buying the Aussie milk. So, but is organic milk really going to make that much of a difference, to your life? And maybe it's not. And maybe, maybe it is. Maybe the quality is, well, actually, you know what? I definitely want organic milk. So that's my baseline standard. Fine. You got to wear that. But yeah.
So let me give you a tip, Brett, when it comes to that milk. So this is another one of the hacks. So if you like organic milk, things that are healthy, you can get cashew, almond milk. You can prepare it yourself. You freeze it and put it in the freezer. And as and when you want it, you take it out. You put them into little cartons, and you can make a ton load for $17 doing it that way. I've got a Vitamix. I make my own almond milk, my own cashew milk. I make my own peanut butter. You can do so many things at a fraction of the cost and have really healthy stuff. So that's one that you can give to Eileen from me.
Yeah, well, probably won't be me making that. But no, it's interesting, but that is true. And the other side of it is, which is one of the things, we make our own bread here. We have a bread maker and that sort of stuff. And one of the reasons was, one of the challenges I have is Arlene is a food technician. So when it comes to food, she knows all the crap that goes into these things. And so a lot of things she'll go, we're not buying that. It's full of, DEs, whatever, Eve, blah, blah, blah. But one of the things, if you do it yourself, you know what goes into it. Whereas when you're buying it, you may not know it. It could be full of crap. One of the kids the other day went out and I bought, it was milk bread from wherever it was. And so it was blue, and the normal one we get is red. And I just took it as a difference. Turned out I paid $1 more for it. Anyway, don't worry about that. I got rolled over the calls today in the shop. But the point was that when I got home, Arlene was like, we don't buy that because it's got this in it. Now the kids love it because it's full of sugar. It's got like twice the amount of sugar that the red loaf has. And it's like, wow. And I mean, hands up, I don't go shopping that often. I don't necessarily do the shopping in the household, but it was news to me. Bread is bread to me, so, but yeah, you can look at things like that. Cool. So we get on to utilities then.
Yeah, so utilities, again, this is something I've done in the last couple of days. It's something that I think is really important for you to look and analyse on all utilities, so gas, electricity. Water's not quite so easy, but certainly gas and electricity. So oil prices, energy prices have massively changed over the last few weeks. So I went online literally yesterday, looked at my supplier, looked at a few others. I've reduced my expenditure by 50%. My monthly outgoings was 200. Just by doing a bit of research, I saved £100 a month.
Mm.
Now, for the average person, if they're spending £150 a month on their gas and electricity, they save 40, 50%. That's a massive saving in terms of the amount of hours that you have to work to earn that tax-free that makes it more disposable. You know, you save yourself 50 to 75 pounds a month. That's 1 week shopping or a bit more. So there's a lot of things that you can do that will reduce your energy bill. That's one thing. So look at your energy supplier. Next things to do is look at your energy. So anything that you're not using, turn them off from the switch, because electricity is still being consumed if you have it on standby. So anything that you don't need, turn it off. Other couple of things that make a big difference on your heating system and your hot water, just turn it down 1 degree. I have a little bit of knowledge of this because I studied as a heating and ventilating engineer. So I have a background as a heating and ventilating engineer, and it's something that I did on a regular basis to help people reduce their consumption. Just a couple of degrees will make a difference to your energy bill. Also, reducing the time slightly. So don't have it on for quite so long will reduce your consumption. There's a few things that you do. If you all make all of those bits, you can save probably 50 to 60% of your consumption already. That's massive.
And I think one point I'll to make up there is that you're talking about in the UK. In Singapore, you actually turn it up 1 degree because it's air conditioning, and it's so depending on where you are in the world. But but seriously, 1 degree. I mean, it's something as simple as that. But that, I mean, on a lot of, the claim is that 1 degree will save you up to 10%, of your heating bill. Which, look, I don't know whether that's true or not. But I tell you, it's amazing. Just these little incremental things. If you do lots of them, they all add up.
So there's one other bit I want to add is you've been doing this for a little while. And it's not everybody will do it because you've got to be brave, but you have a cold shower in the morning based on increasing your immune system. So maybe you want to talk about that slightly because it's fun as well, right? You did it as fun to start with, and now you're actually making part of your routine.
No. So yeah, so shout out to Wim Hof here. So Wim Hof is this crazy Dutch dude who basically he effectively has worked on his immune system and how he's been able to control his immune system and all that. Have a look at him online. He's awesome. He's a character, put it that way. But the science behind it is sound. And I think, so one of the things I've been doing, I don't have hot showers, which actually in Singapore is pretty easy. Yeah. But when I go to the UK, probably the worst showers I ever have are in London because that tap water is always freezing, But anyway, the bottom line is it's freezing, but your body gets used to it. And it is amazing how refreshed you feel. And actually your body can accommodate this, but it does take a bit of getting used to, but it's amazing that the science behind it is fantastic. So no heating, no hot water, it makes a big difference. And even if you can't start, so sometimes if I'm hungover or whatever, I'll start with a hot shower and then I'll finish. There's a lot in this, and rediscovering the importance of something like that and on the immune system, especially now where you've got coronavirus attacking the immune system. Whether that works, I'm not saying it's a savior or anything like that, but what other things have I got? That's what with regarding to the utilities and that is, there's no loyalty. Yeah, they are not loyal to you. You don't need to be loyal to them. So if you can, every year, review this and switch. Reader's Digest for many years, the people who paid the most were the most loyal. Yeah, because they went up every year. Well, the reality is, if you keep reviewing it, I'll do the same with this. We'll talk this, when we talk about insurances, car insurance and that sort of stuff, I do exactly the same every year with all my insurances. I basically have no loyalty to them. They're not giving me any loyalty. And you know what, if they are, I'm very suspicious about it because I know I can probably get it cheaper from someone else. So occasionally they come up.
Sorry. One thing I just want to add is that when you turn your light on and when you turn your cooking on with your gas, you won't see the supplier's name come up. You're going to get the same electricity, you're going to get the same gas, just cheaper. So you won't notice the difference who the supplier is, you'll just notice it in your bills in your bank account.
Yep. And I think the other thing with this whole energy side of things is, you know, I'm sitting in a room now, and actually if I could point up, I just had these installed. They probably don't look like anything, but anyway, it's a light bulb, you know, but it's a high efficiency light bulb. The old light bulbs we had were 100 years old, very efficient. These ones, they reckon, are 40% more efficient than the. So that's going to be our bill massively. You know, replacing light bulbs, old light bulbs, you know, for new ones. You know, it's not our money. Yeah. What else?
So there's one that I want to cover. We've talked quite a lot today. So there's one thing a couple of bits I want to cover, which are massive expenditure for most households, and that's insurances. That's buildings and contents and car insurance. And I want to give a hack that's going to allow people to make considerable savings, anywhere between 30 and 50% saving on what they're spending already. So obviously, when you come up for your renewal, you search to find out who's the cheapest provider. However, there's a hack that will save you even more. So insurance companies work on an algorithm. And the algorithm is that if your insurance is renewed within 21 to 28 days, within that time frame, you're going to get the cheapest renewal. Every day that counts down from, it starts to get more and more expensive. So when you know your renewal is up, you do your research then, 21 to 20. So I've just done it on one of my cars. My insurance premium was 800. We've just got it for £382. That's a massive saving. Now, I want to explain the hack in a bit more detail. So even if your insurance isn't due for renewal in the next 21 days, you can still do this hack. So let me explain how the hack works. And this is for buildings, contents, and car insurance. You go online for a quotation, and when they ask you when is your renewal date, you put your renewal date around about 26 days forward. You get the cheaper price. You can take the insurance, you can cancel your existing insurance, and you get a pro rata rebate. Not a lot of people are aware of that. So it's a really important, clever hack. So you go online, doesn't matter when your insurance is due for renewal, you just make out it's going to be renewed within 21 to 28 days. That algorithm will give you the cheapest possible rate. When you get that rate, you can cancel your existing insurance and get a rebate. So first and foremost, which is great, you're going to get a cash lump sum back from your other insurance to help with your cash flow. You then get, and that's if you paid annually. If you haven't, then you're going to get a cheaper monthly premium in any event. So these are the bits that make each area. If you save 5, 10, 15, 20% on every single area of your expenditure, and, you know, and if your average income is £1,000 and you're saving 20%, overall, that's 200. You're saving 30%, that's 300. So these small incremental changes over every area of your expenditure is massive.
And remember with this, you just save yourself 300 doing those things, let's say 300. Actually, that's post-tax. So if you add a tax back onto that, let's say it's 350, 400, whatever it is, 350, yeah? So you had to work how many days to earn that 350. If you earn $100 a day, that's 3.5 days for something that might have taken you a couple of hours across the whole of your expenditure. You know, so 2 hours investment to actually save yourself 3.5 days of work. You know, you can either take those days off as unpaid, you know, or you can take that money, work those days, take that money and start your savings, your investment, and, you know, your wealth creation.
So, yeah, we talk about a number of different areas here. One about wealth creation, reducing debt, lifestyle. So in reality, any money that you save here, you can use to invest in yourself, invest in your savings, or to plan for the future. If you have an event coming up, you know, after COVID-19 that you want to start planning for, might not be a summer holiday this year because you might be staying in your back garden or at home, but maybe the year after, or doing a celebration. All of these areas where you can start making savings and planning for the future. The more you have to plan for the future, the better it is going to be when we come out the other side.
Yeah, 100%. And more importantly, it's these disciplines that little by little change the way you think and produce a whole massive result in your life. You know, so you might be sitting there thinking, you know, oh, but it's only $50. You know, it's not worth the hassle. No, it's the attitude that that's $50 there and $25 there and $200 there. And by the time you get all that, then that whole thing just changes the way you think bit by bit. And all of a sudden you start treating money with more respect, you know, and the respect that it deserves. And it's amazing how quickly then life goes to you, shit, this guy's a bit more organized than I thought. And maybe I need to start giving him more money to handle, you know. And that, I mean, that's my attitude with money, is that, you know, you only get given what you can handle, you know, and if you prove you can handle the money you've got, then you're likely to attract more. You know, it's that law of attraction sort of thing.
Yeah, the analogy I've often been given is that your financial level is like a thermostat. And unless you change the level of your thermostat to do with your finances, you'll hit a ceiling and keep coming below it. So it's really important that you change your association with money and how you feel about money. So I have a ditty, by the way, if you'd like to hear it. And it goes like this: money is fun, money is good. Not everyone has it, but everyone should. So if you treat money well and you make it fun and you make it a game, more of it will come your way. That's the law of attraction.
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting because I have a similar sort of thing where it's not a ditty. I'm not going to read your poem, but I have what I call the law of zeros. That basically life lets you start off, and you can, once you prove you can handle $2, it'll give you $20. It'll add a zero. You know, life will add a zero. Once you prove you can handle $20, life will add a zero, and it'll give you $200. And if you prove you can handle $200, it'll then do 2,000. And then when 2,000 you can handle that, it'll do 20,000. 20,000. You know, 200,000, 200,000, 2 million, you know, and so forth and so forth. But you have to prove that you can manage the previous level. Otherwise you're not getting the additional zero. And that is what happens generally, is that you'll notice that will start, you know, it's not this, once you can handle 2, it'll give you 4. And once you can handle 4, it'll give you 8. You know, it doesn't work like that. It amplifies, you know, and you attract different people and you attract different opportunities. You know, and then you realize that, you know, you don't need the money that you may have needed when you first started out, because you've now got credibility and discipline and these sort of things, you know. Anyway, that's probably getting a bit picture, but, you know, it is, hopefully you're seeing that, you know, successful people and people who have mastered a lot of these things, they have, you know, Emmanuel's got different ways of explaining it to me, but it's the same thing. It's the same rule. It's the same principle. And when you understand these and when you start to live these, you know, the sky's the limit. Cool. So, so phones, broadband, TV, what about those?
Yeah, so again, those are things that come out of our bank account every single month without really noticing them. So all of those providers are people that you should be talking to, one, in terms of reducing your tariff to the cheapest possible tariff. All these companies have retention departments. They want to keep you. But to be in the best place to negotiate, you have to look at what else is available in the marketplace, especially if you're out of contract. Anybody that's out of contract can negotiate substantial discounts from where they are right now. So your phone, your broadband, could you look at combining your phone, your broadband and your internet all combined together? Look at reducing it, taking some of it away. Every person, you know, based on their package, you know, I've looked at this many, many, many times. And I've never come across anyone, I mean, anyone ever, that hasn't been able to make a saving or reduction on their bills. It just doesn't happen, especially with retention. You've got broadband, you've got your internet, TV package, all of those combined, as well as a phone line. You know, you can save 20, 30% on that easily and get a better service.
And you know, if you like. And then anything above that was the discretion of the salesperson. So what used to happen was that we would sit there and we'd go, right, this is how much we're getting from the network. this is our minimum. So this is the sales amount to play with. And that was that was how the commission. So the more they could get off, the bigger the commission for the salesperson. But understand that, and that still works. But I may not go back to the same, I may not go back to the car phone warehouse or the business mobiles or whatever. I'll change them, or I'll play them off against each other. So I don't have to go direct to the network. So I don't have to go straight into the three shop, because what they're going to do, they're not going to have a lot to play with. They're not an independent business. So these independent businesses, they can do. But I will say this: be careful with redemptions. So one of the things, the games they used to play, I'm not sure if this goes on anymore, but basically redemption, where they would say, okay, you pay the first 6 months at this, so we get our commission, and then we'll give you this redemption voucher to send back in, and then we'll pay you this amount of money. The problem is, when we used to do this, about 70% of people wouldn't redeem the amount. So then we'd end up making like the full whack of commission, and people wouldn't claim it. It was amazing how disorganized people were, So, there's huge money to be saved in negotiating. And again, for all this sort of stuff, if you can negotiate and not be afraid to ask for, a discount, ask for whatever. And I always say, for me, I always say you negotiate the price and then you negotiate the terms. Now, contracts and that are contracts, But for instance, one of the things we used to have to do was people would negotiate the price on the package, and then they say, oh, but can you throw in a phone case, a charger, or this, or that, Now, a lot of the phones come with that sort of stuff now, whereas they never used to. But the reality is, you can negotiate these things. It's all a negotiation.
And have fun with it. It's all about having fun.
Have fun with it.
You negotiate with a smile. You make the other person at the end of the line smile. You make them laugh. They'll give you a lot more than if you try and be a bit more stern with them. So my mum used to say you get a lot more with honey than you do with vinegar.
Yeah. I love some of your sayings, mate. So, absolutely. What about subscriptions, Jim? This is your forte, no doubt.
Yeah, there's lots of people that still have subscriptions that aren't, because it comes out automatically, they forget about them. And Jim is just one of them, but there's other subscriptions you might have for magazines or other areas. Freeze them, put them on hold right now, or cancel them. That's another area we can make significant savings. So, I'm a regular gym goer. I've frozen my gym membership. Lots of people have what I call not so well-known gyms that will still be taking out the monthly direct debit or standing order. I would suggest you put those on freeze or cancel them for right now. You can always reinstate them when we have our freedom back again.
We just did this at work. We went through, basically looked at my Amex for the last I think it was 6 months, but it was the last 3 months that I was looking at. The last 3 months, and we went through every single thing, and I actually went, what is this? What is this? What is that? We ended up finding $1,200 a month that we were paying for like a marketing piece of software that I didn't even know existed, because it was a previous employee who clearly signed up to it, and then they left, and then nobody knew about it, and we just continued paying it. And it's like, wow, that's ridiculous. So, there's stuff like that, reviewing your credit cards and that 100%, get in there and check all that out, and make sure every line that comes out, Just
going back to your credit card and your credit report. So a lot of people do take the free subscription from Equifax, Experian, or Check My File. They give you 30 days worth of free access, and then they start taking out monthly. Remember to cancel those subscriptions, otherwise you just keep paying for them over and over and over again. Yeah.
Do you know, it's interesting. We had a conversation the other day. So we just won some business over from another agency, and we're bringing it across. And the tenants had zero deposit insurance. And they were paying £85 per month for the deposit. And they'd done that for, I think it was 18 months. Wow. And so when we worked it out, it was whatever they paid. But we were like, hold on, this is on a property that is only, their actual deposit, had they paid it, was only $600 or $690 or something like that. And so instead of paying $690, they were paying $85 every single month. And, we went back to that tenant. We said, well, number one is we can't move that insurance across because we don't use that at all. we can cover you still, but this is what it's be. Or surely you've got $690 to pay the deposit, and then that's it. And not only that, rather than being a cost, it's money that's away that you'll get back at the end. And you know, it was amazing when we explained to them, I didn't realize that. Like, it was just $85 a month was just coming out because they'd set it up as a direct debit on their rent. And I was like, now I'm not sure if all zero deposit schemes are like that, but I'm not a big fan of them because I find, you know, if you can't afford the deposit, fine. But if you can, oftentimes it's better to have the deposit than the additional costs. So yeah, anyway, that's aside, but yeah.
Well, it's the product, and the salesman's going to get commission for selling it. So that's why, right?
Totally, you know, so yeah. Cool. So how about we move on to savings? We've been talking away happily here for forever, it seems. But yeah, so savings. So let's talk about bank accounts. What's your thoughts on those, mate?
So again, you need to look at your bank accounts, look at what the charges are. There's lots of banks wanting and incentivizing you to move from one bank account to another. You've got people like HSBC, First Direct, NatWest. They're paying you to transfer your main account over. So what I would do, I'd look online, see which bank accounts have and they all offer this very switch facility, and they'll pay you at the same time, or they'll give you a working overdraft. They'll have lots of different incentives to incentivize you to move from where you are now to their bank account. So you need to do some research, see which bank account is going to offer you the best services, but more importantly, which bank accounts also offer, if you have money in credit, any kind of interest. Even though the Bank of England rate is only 0.1%, the lowest it's been in God knows how long in terms of my lifetime ever, I think.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So looking at that, then we've got things like savings accounts and ISA. So we've just finished the end of the year tax return. So if you've missed out going up to the 5th of April, you've missed out on ISA saving, whatever that amount was, even £1 would have allowed you to open up an account. This year started again. So any of the savings we've been talking about, you can start using that to put into an ISA. Then you've got things like, which I love, which we're going to put a link below, maybe you can do that, is anybody that's on benefits, and there are going to be a lot of people on benefits right now, the government have set up a savings scheme that gives you a 50% guaranteed return. So for every £1 that you save, the government will give you 50p. That I don't know anywhere else where you can get a guaranteed, no risk, 50% return on your savings. This is a great way to help families to save up for maybe a holiday or an expense that's coming up. And every 2 years, so it's a 4-year scheme. So after 2 years, if you put in £1,200 with maximum allowance is £50 a month, which is £600 a year. Over 2 years, that's £1,200. The government will increase that by another £600. That's up to £1,800. That's amazing kind of saving. We're going to include the link here. People can link on it afterwards. They can register. They can apply online. They can open it up with as little as just £1.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're trying to help people make as many savings as possible, as much savings as possible, and as easy as possible. So the government-backed scheme, you can't get easier than that. You know, before COVID-19, 3.4 million people qualified for it that weren't claiming it. That's going to increase now. So that's a huge amount of people that can benefit from that. The next one, which is...
it's really designed to get people, you know, low-income people to get the discipline of savings. And I think, you know, if you could give a gift to your children, it would be the discipline of savings. You know, it's so important, you know, and the government's helping you out there by, you know, topping that up. It's a pretty decent scheme. You do have to leave it in there for the 2 years or the 4 years. If you pull out after 2 years, or if you pull out any time before the 2 years, you miss out on the entire amount. But at 2 years, you get paid the first tranche, and at 4 years, you get paid the second tranche, and you can only get it once. So you can only do that once, you know, which is, but you know, yeah, it's an extraordinary plan. One point I was going to make with ISAs, which I think is important. One of my challenges with ISAs is everyone focuses on the tax-free element of an ISA. Now, my concern with this is I love the concept of an ISA. I think it's fantastic. But if you focus on the tax efficiency of it versus the return on it, I would always focus on the return on investment. Sometimes you can get better bank accounts that if you just took the interest on a bank account and paid the tax away, depending on your situation, that the return will be greater than if you had it in ISA. So you just got to be careful. And this is, again, you got to do your research. You got to get out there and do your research. You know?
Okay. And I agree 100%. And one of the reasons why I've suggested an ISA right now is that we've seen almost a 30% drop in the FTSE and the stock market, and that market is going to recover. So even if you put a little bit of money into the stock market across the 10 top companies over the last 10 years and put a small amount through an ISA, stocks and shares ISA, you can get a significant return, and it would be tax-free. So that's one of the reasons, even a small amount of money to start, you know, we're all about raising your financial IQ. And the only way that you can do that is open up an account and start reading and gaining this financial IQ of how you can invest. So the FTSE 100, you know, has a higher return than most pension funds and other savings plans that financial advisors try to sell you. So just by doing that, you're going to get a higher return. And while the market's low, now's a good time to get in if you're going to do it in small amounts.
And you know, look, even if you got in today and the market does continue to drop, the reality is it's likely to come off and come back, you know, over the period you're going to look at doing it. So, you know, this is not a short-term thing. We're not suggesting you get in and tomorrow you're going to make money. Actually, the market right now is quite volatile, you know, but these are things that you can do, and they're long-term things. They teach you the basic disciplines. And the financial IQ, I mean, 100%, that's a whole nother story we can talk about. But, you know, there's so many options too when you get to that level of setting up accounts that you can trade with dummy money and actually see how things work and really raise that financial. I mean, we won't get into that, but yeah, because I could go on forever, and so could you, no doubt. But I think, you know, look, there is so many ways that you can save money through spending better and save money and getting returns on it through, you know, researching that. And I think, you know, there are two aspects: spending, you know, reducing your spending, and saving money, which is going to create that habit, create that discipline, and get you, you know, in a much better position financially.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to really impart with everyone is that while we're at home, while we've got this opportunity to spend time at home with our family, not to waste this time. This is really been a gift in a way. It's been a gift for allow us to reassess where we are, to look at our finances, look at our expenditure, look at all the things in our lives that we could make better right now. What could we be doing to allow our lives to be better when we come out of this situation? So rather than be pause, which the economy is in pause, we don't have to be pausing. We don't have to be looking at stopping what we do. Let's try and do everything we can to make everything better. So when we come out the other end, we're flying. That's what we're hoping.
Yeah, 100%. And that is really what this is about. You know, get your changes in now, you know, set up your discipline, set yourself up so that when we come out, you're positioned to, you know, do amazing things. And I think that's, you know, that's really what this is all about. There's so much opportunity out there, and there will be more opportunity coming out of this, you know, this crisis. You know, and it's there for the taking. You know, I mean, you can be sitting in fear, you know, or you can be focused on what the future offers. And I think the future offers so much more than sitting in fear and, you know, and being a creature of circumstance rather than a creator of circumstance. You know, I always choose being a creator of my own circumstances. You know,
listen, life is designed to bring us challenges. This is a pretty big challenge right now, but if we can survive through this, it'll make us better, it'll make us stronger. And I truly believe as communities, as nations, we're going to learn from this experience. We're going to really respect lots of things that we haven't done before. You know, one of the key things is how much respect we have for our carers now, for our nurses, for the people doing the regular, what we call mundane job, but they're doing such an amazing job looking after our loved ones and keeping things going. So it's been a reassessment, a readjustment of the things that we value in life.
Yeah, hasn't it? What? And I think, you know, there's more to come of that. We're not out of this yet. The virus side, because this is the thing, and the model that I use is there's the virus side, there's the human side, and there's the economic side. And right now, we're not really facing up to the economic side. Nobody knows where that's going to be. The human side is in our face, but I think when we, once we get through the virus side, the human side is there all along as well, but there'll be another aspect to that. And then we're going to face the economics. And I mean, that's where really the stuff we're talking about now is preparing you. You can sail past that and grow from it. And I think that's really where, it's really important to be getting this, this information now in preparation for when the economics, of the whole situation is, which is that, economies are 30, 40, 50, 60% down on what they were, 2 months ago, so yeah. But no, I mean, look, guys, it's all positive, and I think I'm done. Are you finished? Anything else? Or?
I'm done. The only thing I'd like to say is a huge shout out for Boris Johnson. I think he's a legend. He's done amazing stuff. The poor guy's in hospital. He is suffering. It's probably worse than we anticipate. So my love, my thoughts to him and his family, and hope he comes out of this pretty soon because we need him.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just saying that to Eileen. I said, finally, after Brexit, we've finally got some leadership in there. We've got some, and it's a shame that, it's a shame if anyone gets the coronavirus and has to go to hospital over, but, it really would be an interesting proposition to actually, have him out of action, so yeah, I mean, he still seems to be, involved, but yeah, get well, mate. Definitely.
Get well, Brett.
Yeah.
Boris.
And I was going to say, and anyone that's suffering from that, I know it's interesting. I've sent a thing around to the staff, and I just said, whose immediate family are involved in, we've got about 40 staff, whose immediate family? And so far we've got 13 people who are directly involved, whether that be mums, dads, brothers, sisters, partners, and some of the stories that are coming through, it's like, wow, like you realize that, it's a battle out there. It's they're at the front lines, really at the front lines, so yeah. But no, good luck to you guys, and yeah, stay healthy.
From London, stay safe, stay healthy, and we hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, cool. And we'll see you guys on Thursday night with the next helping of personal finance.
Take care.
All right, guys. Cool.
Bye.
Thanks, Manuel. I'll chat to you soon. All right, see you guys. Bye.
Ciao.